Good evening. I'm Haley Ficasello, and this is your Englebrook Independent News Federal Crime Report, highlighting major federal prosecutions from across the United States. Tonight, we focus on recent sentencing decisions from the U.S. District Court of the Southern District of Illinois, where federal judges hand down significant prison terms in cases involving methamphetamine distribution, operating drug houses, and the sexual exploitation of a minor. Federal authorities say the cases demonstrate the ongoing efforts by prosecutors and investigators to dismantle drug operations and protecting vulnerable victims. We begin in Clinton County. Carlyle, Illinois man has been sentenced to federal prison after admitting he allowed his home to be used as a base for methamphetamine trafficking. Federal prosecutors say 52-year-old Joe E. Knock was sentenced by a federal district judge to 46 months in prison after pleading guilty to maintaining a drug-involved premises. According to court records, Koch allowed individuals living in the residence to store, use, and distribute methamphetamine from the property over a 3-year period between March of 2020 and October of 2023. Investigators conduct multiple controlled purchases of methamphetamine from individuals staying at the residence. Authorities later executed search warrants at the home, recovering drug paraphernalia and evidence of ongoing drug activity. The residence, located at the 1600 block of Livingston Street in Carlisle, was situated directly across the street from a public park, raising additional concerns for the investigators. Following his prison sentence, Koch will also serve 3 years of supervised release under federal monitoring. Federal officials say that the case reflects continued enforcement efforts targeting drug houses that enable distribution networks to operate inside residential neighborhoods. A Richland County man has been sentenced to 28 years in federal prison after admitting to producing child sexual abuse materials involving a 13-year-old victim. Federal prosecutors say Joseph Jared St. Pierre, 37, of Olney, Illinois, pled guilty to 1 count of production of child pornography. The case began in July of 2024 when law enforcement responded to a report of sexual assault involving a minor. According to the court documents, the mother of the 13-year-old girl discovered a video on the child's cell phone showing the minor engaging in sexual act with St. Pierre. Investigators later determined that St. Pierre had engaged in sexually explicit conduct with the victim on 3 separate occasions in Olney. Authorities say the defendant admitted to the conduct during the investigation. A federal judge sentenced St. Pierre to 28 years in prison, followed by 15 years of supervised release after he completed his sentence. Federal prosecutors say cases involving production of child sexual abuse materials carry some of the most severe penalties in federal criminal justice systems due to the lasting harm inflicted on victims. A Bond County methamphetamine dealer has been sentenced to more than 12 years in federal prison after selling meth and later engaging in prolonged standoff with the police. Federal prosecutors say Jonathan Joyner, 46, of Greenville, Illinois, was sentenced to 151 months in prison after pleading guilty to 2 counts of distribution of methamphetamine. According to court documents, Joyner sold 62 grams of pure methamphetamine during 2 controlled sales with law enforcement in July of 2024. Investigators later arrested Joyner in January of 2025, but the arrest was anything but routine. Authorities say Joyner engaged police in a 3-hour standoff before being taken into custody. Evidence presented at the sentencing hearing shows that Joyner had attempted to evade arrest by hiding inside a self-constructed concealment space inside the home. In addition to the prison sentence, the judge ordered Joyner to serve 3 years of supervised release and pay a $5,000 fine. Federal prosecutors say the case highlights the serious penalties associated with trafficking. Federal officials say cases like these reflect continued cooperation between federal prosecutors, local law enforcement agencies, and investigative task force across southern Illinois. Authorities urge members of the public to report suspected drug activity or exploitation crimes to law enforcement. For Englebrook Independent News, I'm Haley Ficasello. Thank you for watching the Federal Crime Report.